Well, hello, my friend.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy that you're here with me. So, welcome back, everybody, to the Caregiver Spirit. And today's a really special episode because I'm joined by one of my near and dear caregiver besties, now beyond
hmm
caregiver into the bestie territory, Allie. I'm going to read her intro real quick, and then we're just going to dive right into a conversation just to set the stage for what I envision for these conversations is that we really want to dive a little bit deeper into what we're feeling, what we're experiencing. This will be a combination of like all real talk. We might grab some tissues. We'll probably laugh. We'll definitely laugh. And it's
hmm
all one big collection of things. So everything goes. And I really want us to feel comfortable enough to go to places that maybe we don't typically share because that's where,
Oh my God. What do we do? I think, you know what?
oh, that's staying.
That is a symbol of life.
That is staying. This is me falling falling off the wall,
This
literally.
is how it feels, right?
This is so let's just put that right over there.
Yeah,
And that, by the way,
keep
has been there
going.
for a long time. And it just now,
This must mean something.
this is it. This is it. This is the real deal. So, Allie Coultas is an artist, caregiver, and storyteller whose life was reshaped by her husband Eric's ALS diagnosis in 2020. Working in watercolor, embroidery, and pottery, she channels love, grief, and resilience into her art while sharing the honest realities of caregiving and evolving partnership. Alongside her own creative practice, Allie serves as a constant source of physical support, creative partnership, and advocacy for Eric's artistic endeavors, most notably Flickering Souls, Illuminating ALS. She helps bring his visions to life, raise awareness around ALS, and ensure his voice continues to be seen and heard. As a mother and maker, her work is rooted in connection, presence, and finding meaning within uncertainty. Yeah, that's you, boo.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm like, how
Yep.
do I sum myself up?
Yeah, it's beautiful. And for anybody who knows a little bit about me, you can probably sense from that description why you and I are kindred spirits in so many ways. So tell me about Eric.
I guess who he is as a person, where he's at, just all of the things.
Mm-hmm.
Eric is a guy whose brain never shuts off. He's always making, he's always doing something. He's always thinking about the next project he's going to work on. It's one of the things that attracted me to him when I met him because he just had this like zest for creativity and like he would get so lost in whatever he was working on. It was actually annoying too though, because I'd be like, "Where are you? I haven't heard from you." And he would be like, "Well, I've been working on this thing for 72 hours now." So he's just so impressive and almost to an annoying point where he'll be like, "You know what? I've never done this before and I wanted to give it a try." And then he will. And so once he gets his mind set on something, he achieves it. And so it's one of the things I love about him and one of the things that I think helps us bond in this place that we're at now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is this place that you're find yourselves in now? Like, what does your relationship look like at its core and right now?
Well, I think, and you could, I'm sure, agree that you learn what it is to be partners when something like this happens. And so I think before Eric's ALS diagnosis, we kind of had this idea of who we were as individuals and what made us unique, as people. And then we were very independent. We spent time together, but we really had separate lives in like what we liked to do and things that made us feel successful. It's been a huge relearning how we are together. And like, you don't have the choice. You're together, constantly, or they're with someone constantly. So it's been this kind of like, you're really learning what it means to respect one another, to be partners, to adapt to the changes that kind of come your way.
Yeah. What are some of the hardest changes you guys have had to adapt to? Or you specifically?
I think that, and we're almost 6 years into Eric's ALS diagnosis. And I would say that he's relatively lucky, if that's even a thing, as far as his progression, because he can still walk around a bit and, he can still talk to me and there's so much that we can still do with one another, but I don't think it ever gets easier to see your partner lose all of the things that you first fell in love with about them. And like, I loved how Eric could just do anything with his hands. Like, he could build anything. He was constantly building motorcycles. He was working on mopeds. I would tell him I had an issue and he'd fix it. And like, he that was just one of the things that I loved so much about him. And he still, in his brain, has all of that knowledge and all of that want to fix these things, and he can't anymore. And so, all of who he is still inside of him, but he can't show it like he used to. And so I think that's been really hard for me. It's been really hard to not share the physical load anymore of just life. He also was the one when Logan was little, by the end of the day I'd be tired, I'd be exhausted, and he'd be like, "I'll put Logan to bed and I'll clean everything up." Like he would be the tidier. I was just a mess. I'd be like throwing diapers around the apartment, trying to get him like into the garbage can. And he was like, "Oh my God, just put it in the trash." But yesterday he was walking with his walker and he carefully picked something up off the table and very carefully put it into Logan's room. And I was watching him and I was like, that's like who he is. That's what he wants to be doing. These are the things, and I don't think that it's shallow to miss all of these like physical qualities of your partner that, like, of course, who they are is in their, personality, but you grieve every little thing that they can't do anymore.
Yeah. I feel that deeply, that image you just shared of him doing that.
Yeah.
You can feel it, like, it's, because Jules is the
Mhm.
same, and he also would be the one to do a lot of that stuff, take care of a lot of the physical load, and I worked in this big, corporate job, and so we had this really beautiful dynamic, and yeah, it's heartbreaking to witness it
Mhm.
go away and know that that's who they are, and that's what they're wanting to do, and
Mhm.
they have no control of the world around them, or very, very little. So,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that have remained unchanged between you guys?
I think humor. Sometimes I'm worried online because I'm so deep and I'm so like, I don't know, poetic, but I we laugh constantly and we're always like shit talking each other, like to each other. Like it's like a fun back and forth that we have. And so that's something that I don't think could ever change between, us. And I think of other things that I think just he still gets that, and for a long time he didn't get that, like, "I wanna work on this thing. I wanna get this thing done." When he could no longer ride his motorcycle, he honestly went inward for probably 9 months, like, he was unavailable emotionally, physically, he just couldn't handle. But to see him kinda he's been working on his Jeep lately, and he can't really drive this Jeep. He's working on it because he likes to. And he's like, "I'll make it nice for you to ride or drive around." And so I
Yeah.
think, he's still there's so much in his mind that's still the same. And I think it's like, and you'll get a little glimmer of like, a feeling from before or maybe seeing an excitement that you haven't seen in a while. And so like kind of holding on really tight to those moments.
Yeah. What are some of the hardest things that you find, like, the hardest things in terms of talking to him? Like, maybe things that you feel like you can't quite say, or
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, oh God, there's like so many. And I think that I think it's really hard to, like I'll be feeling very emotional about something that I miss that he can no longer do. And I know he'll feel guilty. Like I'll see a couple walking hand in hand or like
Yeah.
what was it the other day? The movie I was watching. What movie? And it was just Wuthering Heights. And I was like, look at this like man lift this like I'm like those wants and needs don't go away and you want them from your person. But
Mhm.
like there's so much daily that and I get annoyed by the people that aren't going through this that'll say, well, be grateful for what they still have or be grateful for he's here and yada yada. And I'm like, yes, but like to like want something so badly that you can never have again, yet they're here And so you'll be kind of grieving qualities of your person that they know, and it hurts them. So it's like, how do I bring this up and talk about this with him
Yeah.
when, he knows and feels it too? So
Yeah.
that's definitely big. Sometimes I'll feel frustrated that I'm so overwhelmed, I'm tired, and I just want a spouse that I want him to be able to help me, and he can't. And so, I think they're just reminders, and we don't even have to say it because I feel like they can sense it, like he'll be like, "Okay, like you're irritated right now or you're going through it." So, yeah, that's definitely it's such a hard place to be too because I remember early on I was like, I won't cry in front of him because I don't want to like burden him with my tears or whatever. Or I don't want to, bring him down. I learned over the past 6 years how unhealthy that was, and there have been times where we've both cried together, and I'm like, "Wow, that felt good. Like, why don't we do this?" And so it's kind of become I've had to unlearn, like, certain qualities of me to kind of evolve myself. Definitely, there are still things, though, that if I cry about them or if I think about them, it feels wrong to kind of bring those types of things up over and over again to him.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember thinking early on, as you're exploring grief with your partner the whole time, and then it's like you're exploring your own grief, he's exploring his grief, you're exploring your grief together, you're exploring your grief as parents. There's so many
Mhm.
layers and, like, paths that are sort of distinct, and I remember
Mhm.
thinking early on, being so sad and frustrated that the
Mhm.
one person I wanted to grieve with the most, like, the one I almost envisioned it as, like, imagine you're losing somebody really important in your life, which you are. Who would you naturally go to? Like, if
Right.
somebody else in my life that I'm really close to, and he's the closest I'm close to, right? So, but if somebody
Mhm.
else were going through something that was really affecting me, he's the one I would go to. Like, we would grieve
Yeah.
it together. And I was like, the one person that I want to most do this with is the one going
Yeah.
through it. And so it makes it really complicated. And just like you, I've had to adapt so much into and really finding all the moments when we do absolutely grieve together, and our
Mhm.
communication has been pivotal
Mhm.
and how we've evolved it. But it's definitely gets so convoluted and everything, like, mixed up and jumbled, every
Yeah.
emotion.
Yeah. Well, even, like, I was just thinking, like, before when this person, not only would they care for you physically, but also emotionally and have time and
Yes.
energy for your emotions, and there are times when they do not have the energy or they just cannot take it in, and so you're kind of left, you're like, "This is the person I want to kinda hold me and my emotions right now," and they can't, and you
Yeah.
have to, like, hold yourself.
Yes, yes. Speaking of holding yourself, describe your grief for me.
I'm mean to my grief a lot. I think it's been a struggle to really comprehend, and you'll never, no matter how hard you try, comprehend all of the facets that grief is. And like, I know early on, I think I ran a little. I think I'd cry hard and I'd keep going. And I was like, you have to do A, B, and C. And I think I kind of hit a wall couple years in. I had a mental breakdown because I was like, I prepared myself to, I think emotionally I was like, okay, your partner is going to die in likely 2 to 5 years. You're going to be okay, and you have to take care of your son. And so I think I would let it out when he'd sleep, and then I would just keep going. And so about 3 years in, I was like, he's not going anywhere soon. And you need to kind of come up with better strategies here because you're going to lose your mind. And so I think I just started to kind of pay more attention to, like, the physicality of my grief and, like, where I felt it, naming it and understanding, like, "Okay, that's what that is." Like, don't run from it, maybe lean into it and figure out what's going on for you today. And I think I've always been, like, good about expressing it, but not so good about allowing myself to, like, sit in it and feel it. I think also in our society, like, we are told, we have to go, go, go and be successful or, you know, do all these different things. So I think in, like, slowing down and sitting with it, it felt wrong, and I've kind of grown to understand it a little bit more. if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
It does, yeah. And in your mind and understanding there's no ideal situation, but if you were to describe your ideal version of being in grief, what would that look like? How would she be acting, thinking, feeling?
I think, I wish it could be this thing you turned on and could turn off.
Mm.
Like, ideally, I'd be like, "Okay, Tuesdays at 3. This is when we let this out."
Grief
And then
on.
yes.
I
Otherwise,
like
I'm
clap
busy.
on, grief.
Like, "Okay, I don't have time for this today." And I have pushed through it so many times where I'm like, "I don't have time. You need to do A, B, or C." And then it kind of makes it worse, and it kind of makes me crash harder. So, like, ideally, and I think people who grieve can understand it's like, you're like, "Okay, it's happening. I can't, like, rush this off or, like, run away from it. Like, let me think about what I'm feeling right now." And so I think it's like you have to learn it. Like, it's not something I feel like that comes naturally
Yeah,
to anybody. Like, I think we all know that everybody dies and people around us will, no longer be there at a certain point, but it's like it's still such a shock when you start to experience and go through all of the emotions that come with it.
yeah. How would you describe how your experience of grief is versus compared to somebody else? Like, sort of your quote unquote regular person that hasn't, their partner hasn't been diagnosed with a terminal illness and their life is complicated, but not as intense as what we live every day.
I think it really opens your eyes to what matters and the little things. Like, we are now hardwired to, like, enjoy the littlest things. And so I was just looking at my window and all the leaves are blooming on the trees and they're so green. And so I'm like, that's a little, like, you kind of
Yeah.
have to slow down a lot and just pick up on all these little things and expect that it's a roller coaster. And so even there will be times where I'll be really happy and we'll be having a really good solid few weeks. And I'm like, in a few weeks, potentially you're going to be really going through it. And it's like, remember how good you felt today and
Yeah.
that's going to happen again. It's not, like, I think it's so easy to feel overwhelmed and helpless and hopeless and like there won't be good moments that come. And so I think it's really I am not mad at the way that it's changed me. I'm mad at the situation, but like
Yeah.
I think before I think before ALS and even honestly through it, I felt lost. I think people go through phases with it, but it's really kind of given me clarity and all the other hard things that come with it. But really, I am grateful for, I think I'm not going to say it's a gift, but like we're younger going
Yeah.
through this and it's just changed me forever. So I don't think I'll ever rush moments where I'm like, feeling grateful or, I don't know,
Yeah.
things of that nature.
Yeah. What are some of the things that have changed within you about your identity, your way of moving through the world that you are in sort of active grief about or have been, and maybe you've processed some of them, but what are some of the biggest ones that come to mind?
Well, I think when you become a parent, mother becomes like, or father, you know, parent becomes so much of your identity. And I think the same thing happens when you become a caregiver to your spouse or to whoever you love. And it's so easy for it to take over your whole life. And I think I've at times felt like this is my life too. I am also alive at this time and I cannot let this become completely who I am. And I think all caregivers can agree that it is, one of the biggest sacrifices you can do for somebody you love. You don't always feel like you're, being or honored in the way that you deserve. And I think it's been hard to I think the one thing that I'm so grateful for is that I have to create things and I have to make things. And so it's the one thing that can never be taken from me is that these are things I need to do. And I think being an artist is so incredibly important to me in that way is that like it's this part of me that no matter what I'm feeling, it's there. And so I've, it's been hard to come to terms with the fact that I'm a very hardworking person who cannot work right now. I mean, of course I work, but I'm not being paid
Yeah.
for the work I do.
Yeah.
So, um, that has been huge, kind of how I continue to move through. And I think also, again, in this society we live in, if you're not making money, like it's like I bring value to situations and I am still an incredibly like passionate, hardworking person. It just shows up differently than it did before.
Yeah.
And an independent, like being independent was something that was very important to me and being able to take care of myself, being able to take care of my family, and coming to terms with the fact that you now have to ask for help. You don't have the choice really. And so,
Mhm.
all these things that I viewed as success or whatever, it's like, well, I'm sorry. It like threw me off.
Do you wanna close the window?
You know what? It's so hot in here. I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah.
But
Keep it fresh.
yeah. Yeah, I know. So, anyways, I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a bit now.
No. No rambling.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like that thought ended. Once that horn beeped, I'm like, okay, that thought's done.
Moving right along. Is there something you wish you could recover that you feel like you've lost or had to adapt to in a big way? Is there something that if you could like snap your fingers, you wish you could recover almost completely?
It's a daily fight, or not daily. Well, maybe daily.
It's a
To
minute by
maintain,
minute fight.
it is a second by second fight.
Second by
to
second
try,
fight.
to try and maintain like a softness to myself. I think
Tell me more. Tell me more about that. Like define what softness for yourself feels like.
I think the ability to let yourself be held or cared for and not be the one who cares for everyone else.
Right.
And I think I had this hardness to myself before, this like, I don't need help, I'm good, but not as much as I do now. I think now in ways like when we were talking about that massage I had recently, which I should mention here. But maybe this gets cut
Her
out.
life
But
was changed.
it was I saw God and
You saw God.
I think the ability to like be vulnerable and accept softness. I don't know, does that make sense? Like
Yeah.
I don't think I always
Is it from a
it's
place
like a
of
hypervigilance.
I totally get that. So is it so here I hear hypervigilance. Is it like a protective mechanism? Is it more of a like I want to still maintain my own like sovereignty or
I think it's definitely a protectiveness, and I think
Mhm.
it's like if I'm not careful, if I'm not paying attention, it's so easy to like put walls up and not let
Mm.
anybody or let anybody in or let anything out. And so I think before it was either easier or I just didn't have as much going on that needed this constant, like
Yeah.
I feel like in this situation we're in, it's a constant checking in with yourself, checking in with your partner, checking in with like it's such a the work never ends
Mhm.
type of situation. And especially the like emotional work
Yeah.
that comes with it.
Yeah, I think I love that you bring this up. It's like there's a few things that converge in that space and that I can identify with, like personality, meaning somebody who is sensitive, creative, in tune with emotions. How did we describe it the other day? You didn't say overthinker, but you said that we were like deep thinkers.
Yes.
Also overthinkers. Why not throw that in there?
Yeah.
Because hello, but we're deep thinkers, we're deep feelers, we're always like picking up from the environment. So I
Mhm.
think there's that sort of protection that we kind of naturally create because we're going through this experience with our partners. There's also a protective mechanism around what your family unit is.
Mhm.
Both of us have a family unit of 3. We
Mhm.
both have sons around the same age, just 1 year apart. And I think there's a cocooning that happens
Yeah.
also when you're exposed to a lot of other people that will never, even if they almost get close to being able, I'm not going to say understand the experience, but be able to sort of hold the energy of the experience with you.
Mhm.
It's never what you feel.
Right.
And the other thing that I was thinking about is just the bandwidth. of
Mhm.
what it takes. When you say we're always hyper vigilant around our emotions, what's happening,
Mhm.
things that could go wrong. And in this life, we've been trained to literally be on all the time
Mhm.
and like 3 steps ahead and 3 steps to this side and 3 steps to that side because our partners have fallen, have stopped breathing, we've encountered so many in the moment
Traumas.
traumas
Yeah.
that we're like primed to be on all the time. And
Yeah.
also we've developed like thicker skin to be able
Yeah.
to go through all of these things that you might describe to someone else and they're like, "Oh my God, Allie,
Right.
what do you mean you just went through that?" And you're like, "Yeah,
Like, it was a Tuesday.
it just happened
It was
Tuesday.
fine.
It just happened."
I'll process it at 3.
Yeah, exactly. Like, "Oh, we're fine. I'll probably cry later, hugging an oak tree like I did the other day."
Once I turn my grief on. Yeah.
Yes, once that. So, yeah, I think that's probably something else that all, if not most caregivers can for sure identify with.
You become the manager whether you want it or not, and you
Mhm.
are managing, like you said, could be hundreds of things at once, and so
Mhm.
I think before there was like a weight, there was a lightness to the world,
Mm.
and this like things are gonna work out, things are okay, and
Yeah.
then you're handed a worst case scenario, and it's just kind of like that's where my brain defaults to now,
Yeah.
and so.
And how would that softness, as you call it, towards yourself, which you wish
Mhm.
you had more of, how could that evolve? How would you like that to evolve so that you feel more comfortable and present in your own skin and in your soul?
I think I've been slowly learning tools to kind of help myself get there and allow myself to be kinder to myself,
Yeah.
and like I think it's been a big thing the past couple years where I've said I want this, and then I would think of reasons I can't. And now it's like I have to.
Yeah.
I need this. And so even, with my pottery class or in therapy, getting my hair done, going to get a massage. The other day, I almost canceled my massage because it was just, I don't know, another thing. And it's like, well, look at everything I've done lately. Like,
Yeah.
this is the bare minimum of what I
Yeah.
deserve. And I think as a caregiver, it's so easy to not justify why we need things.
Mhm.
We need extra care. We do because we do so much caring.
Yeah.
So, I think it's like, and it's funny because me and my sisters will talk about this all the time. It's like we can look at somebody else and be like, oh, look at them. They deserve this, this, and that. They're doing so good. And it's like, okay, now how do I talk to myself that way? So
Yeah.
I think I'm getting there
Right?
slowly but surely.
Yeah.
I can't rush anything.
No. Yeah, I think there's so many tricks to the mind too when it comes to us
Hmm.
taking time for ourselves. There's this notion of like, well, nothing that we're doing is ever enough.
Hmm.
And I think we've both certainly grown into understanding that that's not necessarily the case and sort of
Hmm.
owning what we're doing. But I do think that with ALS, unfortunately, given that it is a terminal illness at this time, there's nothing that we can ever do that really takes care of the situation. We can make things better and we
Hmm.
can create things that make our life as a family better, but we
Hmm.
can never do the thing that our minds and our systems would like to do, which is to create,
Hmm. Fix the problem.
fix the problem,
Right.
make it go away, create
Yeah.
longevity. We've had to make peace with that early on, however long that track of our partners takes, some longer than others and some shorter. It doesn't matter. It's like
Hmm.
so um
Well, and I think too that in itself is maybe one of the hardest things I've ever had to learn was how can I continue to live and potentially grow and evolve in a really, really uncomfortable situation. I think a lot of
yes.
you can freeze and like anything is valid because it's the most uncomfortable situation that I know I've ever been in, any of us have ever been in. So it's like, how do we continue to live though in this really uncomfortable situation? And that's been
Yeah.
a huge thing to learn.
Yeah. And the other angle too to add to that is that fact, at least for me, it's like the fact that Jules cannot do at this point,
Mhm.
certainly 99% of the things that I can do and I wish we could do together, obviously.
Mhm.
And as that shifts, I remember a time when I was like, people like, "Oh, let me go out for a walk." And I
Mhm.
literally say, "But Jules can't walk." So
Mhm.
it was almost like I was punishing myself, but not really. It was just this
Mhm.
like mind, honestly, like a very emotional trigger of, "Let me go take a walk around the block." But my husband can no longer walk.
Right.
And I had to work through that a lot to give myself the permission, like over and over again, to soften into how two things can exist at the same time. Um,
And as humans, like, I think it's important for anyone in this situation to pause and think, like, it does not this disease does not make sense, and watching it happen is like, "How is this happen?" Like,
yeah,
the fact that you said Jules cannot do 99% of the things you can do, and you're like, "Look at what I can just do this," and it's like, I don't think that I honestly, I've ever really thought about the fact that, like, that thought alone, how does a brain comprehend that this is really happening to this person that you love more than anything? It's like,
yeah,
and that's something that we carry daily, so anything on top of that is just,
yeah, yeah. And I love the point of like sort of pausing to kind of honor that it does not make sense. It'll never
right.
make sense.
Mhm.
Just to like almost like in a factual way say, there is no way that my brain can fully comprehend what's
Yeah.
happening and the speed at which it's happening also. It's
Mhm.
something that we go through all these phases of growth and adapting, and
Mhm.
we've gone through phases that I'm talking about you and I and what I've
Yeah.
perceived in you and what I know from myself. We've gone through phases where we've been completely in the dark and just
Mhm.
on autopilot. And then we've gone through phases, I guess more recently, where we've kind of found places of emergence and
Mhm.
places of holding ourselves in a new way. And at the same time, I'm like, one of the things I long to do with these conversations and with some of the work that I want to do around giving the caregiver not just a voice, but almost like beyond the emotions, we have to find ways to almost understand the cultural story of being a caregiver.
Mhm.
Just the story, let me just say it that way. Because when we're in the realm of the brain and trying to understand something, which
Mhm.
our brain is turned on all the time because we're dealing with things like doctors, all the medical things, all the things that we have
Mhm.
to learn, that we have to do, taking care of, like all of that. There's a lot of mental stuff going on,
Yeah.
but there's an undercurrent that we cannot name. And sometimes even the feeling, we cannot name it. So, one of the things I think is most potent for us to do is how do we find the markers of the story we're living?
Right.
Because we can all kind of rally around story.
Yeah.
And as a fellow storyteller, I've certainly seen you. It's almost like in a way where art can, you kind of try to make sense of the world, but the art
Mhm.
itself doesn't mean the same thing to everybody.
Mhm.
It just evokes something in you. It's
Yeah.
kind of the same thing that I feel we are missing.
Right.
Like those two as a rite of passage. Like there's all these sort of moments that we don't have the words for. So how do we craft
Yeah.
a connected story around it?
Right. And I think it's that, like, the stories might look so different for so many, but, like, emotions,
Yeah.
and it is so hard, like you said, like, how do you even speak about grief and, like, the different layers and, like, all the little things, and it's okay, well, then the only way I can do this is if I write down just literally the experience that prompted this feeling, like, and say it so plainly, like, because it's this thing that is so hard to find the vocabulary for,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it can feel lonely because of that too.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
it's lonely, it's isolating,
Mhm.
and it's so big. It's
Mhm.
so big. It's so like profound
Yeah.
and huge. And there's not enough sort of holding of how big it is.
Yeah.
So it's almost like we, as the ones going through it, have to craft the container around this experience
Mhm.
because it almost feels like it's sort of like doesn't have a place to go.
Yeah.
And again, this is all just like things that I'm constantly thinking about, things that I'm working through um in terms of actually like how do we do this? How do
Mhm.
we create like weave the threads together so
Yeah,
that we don't feel as alone. We don't have to exactly describe the things that we're feeling.
right.
That helps, but then beyond that there's like something else.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does, and I think I'm thinking it of it in a literal sense too, where it's like resources. How do we and I think, again, I feel like I could talk about it forever, but that's why just art and the process of making things. And I went to a university where conceptual thinking was really like it was a learned skill. And so it's
Mm.
like we saw meaning in everything, in every little thing. It was studied. And, you know, I don't think that you can be literal when it comes to grieving. There's so much to like, there's a lot of nuance in it. And I also think that I really believe whatever you we're doing or whatever like path we're on while we're on this bigger path, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And if
Mhm.
you feel called to do something, do it. I think that's another big thing that's helped me throughout this was like, okay, if my body's wanting or my mind is wanting to do this thing, like it's there for a reason and I need to discover why.
Mm.
Self-discovery as you go through it. I think there's no wrong thing and there's no wrong way unless it hurts you or someone else to
Yeah.
discover your grief too.
Yeah. I love so much what you brought up about conceptual thinking, and we could totally
Mhm.
like take that into another
Could really
conversation.
nerd out about that.
Oh my gosh, because you're giving these different words to the same. It's really something that's so ancient about the human
Mhm.
race. It's meaning making. And
Mhm.
we've lost the gift where that our ancestors had where
Yeah.
really everything not only had meaning, had sort of even if things were really hard and it was just like, well, that's how it is, there was something underneath that held everybody in a community and an understanding of
Yeah.
that. And it's always I find it kind of tricky to be like, "Oh, well, we have to find meaning in things," because I don't want anybody to feel like we're minimizing
Right.
the shit show
No, and it's
and the
like
pain and the
yes.
but I'd love to hear your perspective on this. Like, how do you bring conceptual thinking and meaning making to something like your own experience and what value does it
Well,
have?
I think, like and like you said, like, ancestors, like, back in time, like, grieving there were, like, rituals, and it's like a
Yeah.
lost art of knowing how to process so many things, and I think, of course, in other ways, we've advanced, and, like, there's so many different forms of therapy now that I think really help lean into that, but I think it's this idea that, like, for me, it's and I'm feeling guilty in this moment because 'cause I'm saying using my hands to grieve, which
Yeah.
I'm like, not everybody can do that. I can
Yeah.
do that. I'm able to do that, and I don't take it for granted. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to think of like the conceptual things in
Yeah.
this moment.
Well, I just want to pause because exactly the idea of ritual ceremony, the idea of milestones, like all of
Mhm.
that was such a rich part of our culture, of the language that everybody connected with. That is
Mhm.
a lot of what I'm looking to bring into our caregiving conversation.
Yeah.
And it's something that really thrills me as a person who loves to see, like, connect the dots
Mhm.
and see the symbolism and just
Yes.
understand the broader picture. And I'm just looking at us here, like, we both have tattoos. And when you
Mhm.
said ritual, I was like, all right, well, not everybody is a tattoo person,
Mhm.
but these for me have become ritual moments. Like, the last
Yeah.
few tattoos I've had, I've gotten like one average every year. And they are
Yeah.
all tied to my own growth process that's been
Mhm.
directly impacted by living with Jules through ALS. And so to me, like, it's almost like what is the version of that for everybody else where
Right.
it
Yeah.
just it every time I've done it, it feels like it's a moment in time and it's a ritual of healing and processing and also like joy and
Mhm.
so
And I think it can be everybody has their own,
mhm.
and It could be exercise, it could be rage rooms, it could be, like, whatever you feel. I just think there's no wrong way, and I think too, like I said earlier, like, my brain, it's rewired itself to think of things differently, like,
Yeah.
I really slow down. I've been thinking lately about, um we've been in this apartment now for 5 years, and we moved out of our house that at the time we moved out, we had only lived in that house we owned for 5 years, and I had written this whole thing about the 5 years we'd spent there, and now we reached 5 years here. When we signed
Yeah.
the lease here, I was like, "He will not be here next year, or definitely not the year after." Like, every time I'd sign the lease, I was like,
Yeah.
this isn't gonna, like, and
Mhm.
so it's like for me, it's taking time to acknowledge those huge things. Like, I think it's like allowing yourself time to really think as deeply as you want to
Yeah.
about, all those moments that matter. And it's like, I never want to forget that feeling of like, wow, we made it to year 5 in this house or in this
Yeah.
apartment. So, like, just, yeah, like honoring, we think the things we do for a reason. I just really do believe that.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking about is, like, the ability to really touch the bottom of something is
Mm-hmm.
so, I think, crucial to
Yeah.
the processing of it, the integrating of it, the real, like, gift of whatever is gonna crack open into a
Mm-hmm.
million shards, but then transform you into something else. It's really like diving, like you're diving in the ocean and you're like, "I'm gonna touch the floor." And it's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna be comfortable, and it doesn't mean I'm always doing it, but there are moments when you're like, "I wanna go as deep as I
Yeah.
can, and I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
touch the floor, and I'm gonna just, like, be there, and then I'm gonna come
Yeah.
up," because it's almost like, again, in this sort of broader idea of cycles and all of these,
Mm-hmm.
it matters. And I also wanna point out something you said earlier about, I wrote, really following the nudges, like you were saying, if there's something that's been, like,
Yeah.
implanted in your brain or in your heart
Mm-hmm.
to do, follow that. Intuition is what comes up for me, and
Yeah.
really do it. Like, "Oh, that thing doesn't leave me. I gotta do it. I have to follow
Yes.
it." There's something there that's so powerful and not easy.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like, if you think about it, like as we grieve and we're becoming, like, I think, more attuned with who we are and our feelings. And I think you
Yeah.
don't really have a choice. If you're trying to, like, you could run or you could sit and you could try and process what you're going through. And so when you do, you're like, it's, I feel like I sound like a little, I don't know, not like hippie, but it's like you're discovering who you are on, like, a soul level. And
Yeah.
it's like, okay, now I've been thinking a lot about this. It's like, follow it, see what that means. Like, I
Yeah.
think it's given us the gift of, because I did not have this before, and I did not listen to, I don't think, as much like intuition or pay so close attention to my emotions and what I'm going through. Like, I think it really, and that's what I think I mean too about, like, how it's changed me forever, is that, like,
Yeah.
I've gotten to know myself better, and I've gotten to know the way I process, and, like, it felt like the only thing I could do, the only way through this, and the only way that I survive, or I joke with Eric, I'm like, "You'll outlive me." Like, I don't know, but I, like, the only way that I can make it through this in maybe 1 piece or 2 or 3, whatever, is that, like, you have to lean into the stuff,
Yeah.
otherwise it'll just eat you alive.
Yeah. And something I wanna give words to in terms of the leaning in is that I
Mhm.
think one of the aversions that we might feel and people might feel about leaning in is the idea of like, oh, well, then that makes it real, you know? Like,
Mhm.
oh, that makes it
Yeah.
real if I really touch it, or then there's no turning back. Like
Mhm.
all of these things that, again, we have to explore. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, wait, it's like I always go through these like train of like questions. It's like, oh, there's something here that I'm sort of resisting of like getting closer to.
Mhm.
What's that about? What do I
Right.
feel about that? Oh, maybe I have some fear around. Well, if
Mhm.
I admit that thing and begin to process that thing, it means like, that's it. This has changed. This is no longer going to be the same. But then I'm like,
Mhm.
then you're just sort of running around the situation instead
Yes.
of, like you said, just like sitting down and
Right.
every time I've done that, the other side is there's so much more peace around
Mhm.
that thing.
Yeah.
than
It's
I had
hard when you go
before.
through it. Yeah. I mean, I know because I used to do it. I used to be like, "Ooh, that's a bad thought." Like, "Go away.
Out.
Don't think about that ever again." And then I proceed to think about it for 3 years straight every day. So
Yeah.
it's like, I think I've done that where and I'd feel such guilt and it would grow and grow and grow and
Yeah.
grow. Like, I remember thinking very early on in Eric's diagnosis, "I can't do this. Like, I'm not gonna do it. I can't do it. I won't." Or like, "Okay, I hope that it takes him quickly because then maybe I'll come out unscathed." And I remember
Hmm.
that was a thought that I had that I was like, I could never say that out loud. That's
Yeah.
not normal. There's something wrong with me. And it's like, I think over time, and I think one of the, I don't know, it's funny because I feel like I can't say, like, I can't use like a positive, like describing word on our situation.
I
I'm
know.
like,
Trust
I'm
me.
like, one of the cool things about Eric's diagnosis has been that, like, we have said everything. Like, there has not been
Yes.
one thing left unsaid. And so,
Ditto.
like, it's been all of these, I had huge fears and huge, like, oh my God, if he ever knew that, like, like, what would he think of me for thinking this, you
Yes.
know? And it's like, it's all out there now.
Yes.
And it's like freeing. And the
Yes.
more you hold it, I mean, I think people realize, they find out, like, the more you hold it in and the more you try to, it's inevitable. You can't fight it. You can't,
Mhm.
like, and when you do, that's when I've been most helpless, hopeless, depressed on
Yeah.
this journey, is that I'm resisting something that I need to
Yes.
go through.
100,000,000%. And I find that that's ditto for like Jules and I have,
Mm-hmm.
we've said all the things. And that's
Yeah.
how our intimacy has also grown.
Mm-hmm.
Our true connection of that, like actual true love, like the reason why
Yeah.
you're each other's person is a
Mm-hmm.
conscious choice all the time of not only like we're going to do this together, but
Mm-hmm.
where have we not gone in terms of what have we not shared yet, or what else is
Yeah.
in your heart, my heart. That's how intimacy also evolves and gets you closer and like more resilient together, I think.
It's true. And I think we've had to, and you can also, I feel like, tell by us that we both like do therapy and we think deeply, and that we are
Yes.
6 years into this. Like, we've had the time and the
Yeah.
experience to, like, there have been so many emotional battles we've have to overcome. But like, you can, like you said, two things can be true. You can miss the physical connection or the different things about this person,
Mhm.
but how deeply as a couple you can grow emotionally,
Mhm.
because that's like some of the craziest experiences I've had
Yeah.
through this has been, and it's been it's been ugly and it's been amazing. Like, there have been some this disease doesn't spare your relationship and all the ways in which it maybe was not working to its
Yeah.
best ability.
No, it doesn't spare a shred of anything going on. Because
Anything.
it just
Yeah.
goes on to like color. It's like this big bucket of paint that just like is poured all over every nook and cranny. And you're like, oh,
Mhm.
even there, even at my armpit, I have ALS. What's
Damn,
going
even there?
on? Damn. It's everything. And so we're constantly like, okay, all of that. And that's, that is the situation. And also that's not the situation. And
Mhm.
all the time.
Yeah.
What feels the hardest for you to hold right now?
Mm. Okay. Well, I'm going to talk about my massage.
Please.
Okay.
By the
Because
way,
it
I
was.
just want to preface, I want to say a couple things that I wanted to say at the beginning, but I'm going to say them now. Number one,
Yeah.
we speak from our own experience. Everybody's experience is different.
Yes.
And number two, one of the things that, and Allie and I talk about this one-on-one a lot, and I want to encourage all of us to do is to find the spaces where we can really say the things we want to say
Mhm.
without having the qualifiers. I love my husband. I'm very committed to my husband. My husband,
Mhm.
all the things,
Mhm.
because every time a caregiver says, "Oh wow, I had a great thing," or "I went on a trip with my son and it was absolutely amazing," we
Mhm.
feel like, "Oh, but I love my husband. I wish he was there." All of
Like,
that
I'll just
is
put it on my head right here.
covered, like tattoo here. I love him. I wish he was there. It sucks that he wasn't there. I also
Mhm.
cried because he wasn't there. Now,
Yes.
right?
Okay.
Because I don't want to have to.
No, and I think it should be a given, you would think,
Mhm.
but I think, okay, so ask your question again, because I have to remember how I'm gonna answer it.
Well, you're definitely going to talk about the massage.
I
What
am.
feels feels
the hardest.
hardest to hold right now for you?
So yeah, you and I, we talk all the time and we talk deeply about the things we go through. And I had recently had family in town. We did another opening for Eric's piece. We took it down, put it in our house, moved it to the gallery, put it up, and all the things. And so I was beyond exhausted in so many different ways. And I had booked a massage, and the woman who I normally see had to cancel. She was like, but I could reschedule you with someone else. I was like, whatever, okay. And she is very much like works the knots out, and then you hurt, you ache, you feel a little lighter. And I went and I had this somatic massage, I'll call it, right? And it,
Not the opening of the
oh my
cosmic.
God. So I think the hardest thing for me to hold right now was that during this massage, it was like an emotional release of things that we hold all the time that we don't recognize we're holding all the time. And he just the way he moved and held your body in places, his or the philosophy of this kind of massage is that you have all the tools in you to relax and release tension, but I'm going to help you, and I'm going to help you move certain ways so you can feel that, and so you could feel safe and relaxed and all these things. And I did not realize how much that was going to hit me emotionally. Like I'm getting chills talking about it. Like
Yeah.
I felt like I can't remember the last time I've relaxed and trusted somebody that much. And I felt devastated at the fact that like Eric cannot like pick me up and hold me, or just all of and like the masseuse was moving my arms and legs, like very much range of motion, which are stretches that we do for our spouses. And it was like, nobody moves me this way. This is not what happens for me. And so it was like, I think I can be the manager, I can be the caregiver, I hold all the things, but like, who holds me? And you've said that before too. And it's like this, it is so heavy. It's so heavy. And I cried like 2 days after. I was like, oh my God, like, I can't remember the last time I felt that like safety and care. And of course I want, it was like this feeling of like, wow, this is what I've been missing for so long, is like that I deserve to feel safe and cared for. And again, I love my husband and I wish he could hold and care for me the way he could. And also we're human, and this is a very heavy disease. And when you do it for so long too, I go and I go, and then all of a sudden you're stopped, and it's like, whoa, look at all this that you haven't had in so long. And so it was like, it was so many things, and it was so overwhelming and incredible and heartbreaking. So that's been very hard for me. And like you said, and my therapist said, I've been trying to like figure out the words to describe it. She's like, you can't think about it up here because it's happening like down here, and your body understands it and your brain can't. And yes. I've also tried to recruit like 10 people already to go to this man.
I'm about to go to this. I'm about to get on a
Emma's on her way up. She's
on my
boarding her
way.
flight today.
Yes. Yeah. The lack and the disappearance of physical touch is the realest thing.
Yes. And the strength of someone's hands.
Yes. That just, there is such a thing as oxytocin. There is such a thing as like the good chemicals that are produced when you hug somebody.
Yes.
When you're
absolutely.
touched, when you're held. And that is the person that we want to hug us the most. Like it's it's a whole other love language when we get an incredible hug from our sons, who are so phenomenal with both of us.
Yes.
And there will never be another hug, true big hug, like, among other many things that no longer happen between us and our husbands, that are really devastating. And really, really real. And you
think
just
about the people.
you adapt, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Right, and you come to terms with, "Okay, I can hug Eric, I can make sure he's standing up and
Yeah.
I've got him and I'm holding him."
Yeah.
Like, and I'm holding him, I'm making sure he's okay. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't if I hug him, I don't get to relax
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
accept the hug. I am making sure he's okay in this hug.
Yes.
And I did not hug this therapist, but he held me in a
Yeah.
way that was
You could, like, release. You
I could
weren't the
relax
one
my
holding
body.
physically and emotionally and
Exactly.
spiritually and mentally. We've been
Yes.
holding our husbands, our homes, our families,
Yes.
ourselves, and then all
Yep.
of a sudden, you have this experience where someone is
I'm
holding
being
you in
held.
that way.
Right. Yeah, and I don't have to hold anything in that moment, and one of the first things he said was like, your only job here is just to breathe. Everything else, like, don't worry about anything else." And I'm like, "What do you mean? What do you mean I don't have to worry?" So, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and I wish I could make every caregiver deserves to feel that, like, weightless,
Mhm.
like, I'm not carrying anything right now. There's nothing else that matters right now except for me and
Mhm.
how I feel in my body right now.
Yeah, and I'm curious what happens, like, what's the aftermath of that? Because we also have to make peace with the fact that
Mhm.
that was
Yeah.
amazing. That's not my life.
Yeah.
Sure, maybe I can go back and get a massage in a month or 2.
Mhm.
That's a great privilege and amazing, but it's like you go back to the reality and
Mhm.
there's also grief there, and both things
Yeah.
have to coexist so that
Absolutely.
you also don't go crazy, like, in escapist territory,
That's why
and
I
you're
think I cried a
present.
lot too. Right.
Yes,
Because I was like, "Wow, that was wonderful, and
and
that is not my life,
that
so I need to." And I think honestly it has helped. I could see how it has helped me the past week with crying with my sisters.
Mhm,
And, like, we experienced a loss in our family this weekend, and I was very emotionally open and
mhm,
vulnerable, and I could see, I think I saw it as a tool to help me accept, love and care.
yeah. I mean,
So
there is this whole somatic thing, which basically is, like, another
mhm,
word for, like, in body.
mhm,
There is so much that is very real about the release of everything we're holding
yeah,
that can happen in physical ways and also ways that you can help yourself through
mhm,
just I guess what I want to say is like paying attention to your body and what you're holding in your
yeah,
body is a real
it's
very
a real
real
thing.
thing.
Yes.
What does hope look like nowadays and how does it creep into your life?
I have to say, I have to mention Eric's installation at least a little
Please.
because I think it has been huge for us to work through together and also to meet so many other people have, been in this territory and maybe are not anymore or still are. And I think for me, it's accepting the situation in a sense that, like, this is a huge part of our lives that can't change. And how do we connect with and empower one another going through this situation? And so I think it's given me a huge sense of purpose, a huge sense of hope.
Yeah.
It's also been very exhausting, but I do see how it has helped. I think I'm not finding the right word right now, but it's given me a lot of hope. I also see the ways in which I'm kind of shifting and
Mhm.
evolving, and that gives me hope because I think even just the simplest language changes have been really big for me. And it's like, I would like to do this, and it's like, I'm going to do this. How can I get this done and who can help me get this
Yeah.
done? And so I do think for a long time I couldn't think of the future, think about hope, think about I don't know, anything that was good. And I think slowly over time I've learned. I think my pottery class gives me a lot of hope
Mhm.
because I love to just make cute little things. And
Yeah.
that, I think it can be in the simplest things.
Mhm. Absolutely.
So,
You touched on purpose, and
mhm,
purpose is such a driver. And going back to that concept of like finding sort of like containers to hold the things that you're feeling, I find that purpose is a space where when you find something that you are passionate about, maybe probably connected to the experience you're going through. And it doesn't mean,
Mhm.
it's not everybody's going to feel that drive, but if you do,
Right.
going back to like, you feel the nudge to like do something that's advocacy related or art
Mhm.
related or anything that's like, I want to tell my story, I want to tell my partner's story, I want to connect to other people that are going through this, to follow that, because for me and for you, it's been a really amazing place to kind of deposit a lot of energy and a lot of like
Yeah.
feeling, and to
Mhm.
make something make sense, at least in that
Yeah.
space, which again helps us craft the story
Yeah.
of. And it's almost like saying, like, this story of ALS is not going to get away from me. It's not going to tell
Mhm.
its own story. I'm going to, I don't have
I
control
have to
over
tell
it,
it.
but I'm going to tell the story with what's coming my way. And you guys have done that really beautifully, especially with this art piece,
Yeah.
which we'll share below how you can, like, take a look and everything on their
Mhm.
website. So the last question I have for you, my friend, is what is a lesson? And you've certainly mentioned some of these things already, but I want you to think
Mhm.
about like one thing to encapsulate. So what is a lesson that you're very grateful you've learned, but you wish you hadn't?
Mm. Well, I think one for sure, but I think it's inevitable. Like, I think I wish I hadn't so young that we are not automatically, it's not a given that your body's always going to work the way you want it to. Like, you don't just get to age however you want, Like, there are so many things that are out of our control. And there are, even as we age, even if you don't have certain illnesses, there's so many different factors into play that, matter as far as how you can move and if you can move. And I think that Eric was diagnosed when I just turned 30 years old. And I was like, we had this many, you just think you have something
Yeah.
and you don't, but you have no control over it, but you assume you have it. And so I think I truly wish that sometimes even maybe had he gotten it at age 50 or, I wish it could have waited. I wish it held off for a while.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I can ever, I think I'll spend my life processing that this really is my life. I think
Yeah.
sometimes it's like, I don't always, I'll be like, oh, right. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is my life. So
Yeah.
that's definitely number
Yeah.
one.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
My absolute pleasure. This was phenomenal. And Allie is very active on Instagram, shares a lot of stuff. And they're both working on this incredible art piece,
Mhm.
which just launched earlier this year. And hopefully we'll get to see other states and other cities and other places.
Mhm.
That's been really exciting. And so we'll put that information below. Is there anything
Mhm.
else you want to share as we sign off?
I just want to say I love you so much and I'm so grateful to know you. And you've been such a wonderful source of just light and happiness. And I think in this situation, people that are going through it make such a huge difference. And you're definitely one of those people for me. So just wanted to tell you that.
Thank you. Thank you, my friend. I received that and I love you. And thanks to everybody for watching and listening. I will see you again next time. And I have some other ideas to bring Allie back because I want to talk about parenting and I want to talk about
Mm.
intimacy,
Mhm.
the bedroom
I'm down.
stuff. So we'll definitely come back with some more topics. And yeah, thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.
Mhm.
Bye.